This is Brian Clark, In Your Head Wrestling, 3-time World Tag Team Champions, breaking necks and cashing checks.
All right, this is Jackie Jones, and we're back once again. And I think my blood's running cold. We are joined by Glacier.
Hey, what's going on, Jackie? How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well, thank you. And how are you doing?
Doing good, doing good. As you and I were just talking before we went live here, I'm here in Orlando, Florida. I'm at a soft opening for one of my good buddies, Chef Bernard Carmouche. He's opening up a new restaurant here called Two Chefs Seafood here in Orlando, and he used to be the right-hand guy to Emerald Lagasse for years and ran the Emeralds that was here at Universal City Walk, and so he just has opened up his own restaurant. So me and my group of buddies here that we all live in the same neighborhood, we came down to support him. So he had some great, New Orleans style food, and man, I'll tell you what, it's just I ate too much too fast, but I don't regret it because it was really good.
Yeah. So what would be what would you recommend someone would get if they come to the restaurant?
You know what? Anything if you come here, it's called Two Chefs Seafood and Oyster Bar in Orlando, and just getting ready to open up. I would say, man, let me see. Just from what I've had so far, the grilled. Believe it or not, the grilled steak is really good, but any oyster dish. I mean, he does oysters like so many different ways other than just on the half shell raw. Mm-hmm. I mean, oh man, I mean, he's got several oyster dishes that if you're into oysters, trust me, this is oyster heaven. It really is.
Well, you're having seafood there. You in June 27th, you'll be up in New England, which we're also known for, for our seafood up here.
Yeah.
And at the Rhode Island Convention Center for the New England Fan Fest and Hall of Fame, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you there. I'll be there.
Yeah, you know what? It's my first time, at the event, and this is one that I've been really wanting to, to be a part of for the last few years. And it's a fan fest with a great reputation. I'm really, really thrilled and honored to be a part of it. And I really look forward to meeting all the wrestling fans. It's the first time I've really done any type of fan fest in the New England area, and I'm really excited about it. Actually, I got booked for this probably, I don't know, 6 or 8 months ago, and I've been looking forward to it ever since. So I'm really, really excited to be up there and just be a part of that event. I understand it's just it's a top-notch event from top to bottom.
Definitely. And had you? I know you're mostly had wrestled for WCW and NWA. So had you had a chance to wrestle in the New England area?
You know what? I mean, I've done a few shows, I think, here and there over the years, but never any like extended run. But yeah, it's unfortunately for me, it's been an area where I haven't really done that much wrestling in, and I regret that because I love that area as far as like I said. I mean, I grew up in South Georgia, on the beach area. So I mean, I'm a seafood lover from the very beginning. So of course that area up there where seafood is king too. That sings my tune. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to trying out some of the good seafood up there, and just like I said, we get a chance to reconnect with a lot of the wrestling fans in that area. I grew up a wrestling fan first, like a lot of guys who got into the business, and there's still a big part of me that's always going to be a wrestling fan. And so, when I come to any convention, first of all, to me, I consider it a huge honor to be able to be invited to any type of convention or weekend type show. And, and I always say, to the wrestling fans is that, and I don't know necessarily if every wrestler looks at it like this, but I certainly do, is that, without the fans, I don't get a chance to live my dream. So I always am so thankful to the fans for doing their part, to purchase tickets, to come watch us wrestle and do what we do, because that's what makes me come alive, is getting in that ring and performing and giving people. I always, Luthez taught me something a long time ago. Is always the goal is to give people more than their money's worth, not just their money's worth. Make them really want to come back to see you wrestle again, and that's always been my goal. And just the fans of wrestling. I was just telling someone earlier tonight. The fans of wrestling are the best fans in the world, and they're the most dedicated fans. I mean, wrestling always kind of goes through peaks and valleys, but they're always there in the peaks. But the best part about our wrestling fans is they're there in the valleys too, when wrestling maybe goes through those kind of lean times. And so, like I said, I'm always so grateful to get a chance to be around the wrestling fans at something like the New England Fan Fest, because, like I said, I mean, I love this business from top to bottom, and I know the fans do too. So we have that in common. So for me, it's a great time to just really enjoy, what the wrestling business has been able to provide for me, and hopefully what I've been able to provide for the wrestling fans.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you still have the Glacier outfit?
I do. I have the original everything. I've got some of the spandex is maybe newer because that doesn't last forever. But I have the mask that I do my appearances in my full getup. But I have the original armor that I wore since the very beginning in 1996. It's only been one set of armor the whole time, and it was made to be extremely durable, and it's heavy. It's about 20 pounds. Most people, when they see how heavy it is, they were pretty surprised. But and then the mask that I wear is still one of the original masks that I wore back in the day. So.
Mm-hmm. Actually, over on our Facebook page, Norrin Rad, one of the fans, he wanted to know, did you ever want to keep the mask on while you wrestled? Did any?
You know what? That was actually one of the things that we considered early on. When they were still really kind of ironing out the last few bits of the character itself. But I tried it, and because of the fact that the way the mask is made, it made it really, really hard to breathe in it. So. Yeah. It was kind of a nice idea in theory, but yeah, we kind of ditched that pretty quick.
Yeah. I want to ask you about James Vandenberg, because I saw you at another fan fest a few years ago, and you got up and you actually sang because he was doing karaoke, and I think I had that on video somewhere. But
oh Lord.
What was James like? What was he like when he was James Vandenberg? And did you get along with him? Did you like working with him?
Oh yeah, Jim Mitchell. When we started working together in WCW, of course he was known as James Vandenberg. He managed Mortis and Wrath, and Chris Canyon, Brian Clark, and we became instant friends from the very beginning, and we're still very, very good friends. He lives here in Orlando, where I am, and we try to get together as often as possible. He runs a karaoke business here for some of the resorts in Orlando.
Yeah.
He's living a pretty good little life, but yeah, I mean, I call him Vandy for short, and I just absolutely love the guy. I can't say enough good about him. He is, in my opinion, and not just my opinion. I mean, I put him up against anybody. I mean, he to me is one of the best modern day talkers in the business. I mean, he is that guy that has that gift. Like I always used to say, people would say about Dusty Rhodes and Ric Flair and people like that. Vandy has that gift of being able to talk people into the arena with his promos. I mean, he's very, very good. And I can honestly say, and I'm saying this without reservation, in all the years I've known him, I have never, ever, ever once seen him have to do a second take of an interview because he messed something up. Now, I've seen him do like a second take for a promo just to kind of make sure maybe if they want to see a little different something here or there, but I've never seen him mess up a promo. I mean, he's that good. And and he's a pro. I mean, when he goes out there, he's prepared. He knows what he wants to say. He knows how to deliver his message. And I always, when I do my seminars, I do a good bit of wrestling seminars, I always recommend to any wrestler to go back and watch anything they can find on YouTube of him because he's very believable. And in this business, that's what sells is believability, and he, they always, you always see the suspicion of disbelief, but he, I always say believability to me works a lot better. And he makes you believe what he's saying. And it's very, very few people can do that. It's a real talent to be able to do that. And he really does have that talent to do that. And it's because he's worked at it. He's worked very hard to be able to make something that's really difficult look very easy and very natural. But, I'm a huge fan of his. He's a great friend of mine. And I was just talking about him tonight. It's a buddy of mine.
Awesome. Now, we've had RVD on the show a lot, and I know there was always kind of a rumor that he was going to be the original Glacier character, but I believe when we had him on, he said he wasn't going to be Glacier, but he was going to be part of that whole group where he would. When we were at the which one was it? The convention that's in Monroe, New Jersey, Ladies of the Ring convention. Mm-hmm. Probably was about 6 months ago, and he and I had that kind of conversation because Rob and I kind of came through the ranks together. Not a lot of people know that. I mean, he wrestled all over, but he came through kind of the Georgia area when I came through when we started about the same time, I think, and I wrestled with each other a good bit on the indie circuit. Before we both kind of went our own ways, he went to ECW and I went to WCW. But we've always had what I consider to be a very great working relationship. And he said that to me when we were at the Legends of the Ring thing, and I said, yeah, I'd kind of heard something like that maybe Eric had talked to him about originally maybe being, the first, character in the Blood Runs Cold thing. I'm not really sure what's fact and fiction in that story. I just know that when Eric talked to me about it, it gave me the impression that I was really, the one that he was going to go with. But it's one of those things that's kind of lost in the gray area from the past. So I can't really, all I know is what I know. But I can say this too. I mean, I certainly think Rob would have been someone who would have been great in that type of role. But I think in the end, the path that he chose was the one that worked out best for him because, obviously he went on to develop not only a great, career in the ring, but a great, a great brand as RVD.
Yeah. You just mentioned about, you'd wrestled for a long time before you became Glacier, and a lot of people don't know that. Now, did you wrestle a different style before that? And did they specifically ask you to, wrestle like this for like the Glacier character and for the kind of the whole angle?
Yeah, that's a great question. I actually wrestled. I was in the wrestling business for 9 years before I signed my deal with WCW, and I was working hard at it. I mean, I got my degree in education, I got my bachelor's and my master's degree back to back. Was teaching school, and it was I had a great setup. I taught school during the week and wrestled on the weekends. Had my summers off, so I started going back and forth to Japan to wrestle. And no, I was more of a, especially when I went to Japan. I mean, I was. I got trained a very traditional, style of wrestling. And then when I went to Japan, I got a chance to learn from Luthez and work with Danny Hodge, with Billy Robinson, guys that were very, very much trunks and boots traditional style wrestlers. So that was kind of, I threw a little bit of martial arts in there because I'd studied since I was a kid. But the challenge was being able to do things in the ring, as far as kicks and things like that didn't freak out the other guy, because, it's one thing to throw your hands around, but when you start throwing your feet around, other than just like a, basic, pick your foot up and, kind of, straight kick that kind of everybody does, it gets a little scary, especially when you're like wanting to spin around and stuff like that. So, it wasn't something that was ever really well received. So I just didn't really put it in my arsenal, so to speak, early on. And then one day, and actually, Dallas Page and I became, good friends even before, I was in WCW. He was already there. And then this was like, around the early 90s there when he and I first met. But we actually were Christmas shopping in the big mall there in Atlanta in December of 95. I remember it was a couple of days before Christmas. He and I were shopping, and, he was shopping for Kimberly. I was shopping for whoever I was dating at the time. And we were sitting at a little pizza place eating, and he says, and I said, Paige, I'm thinking about, and Paige had already started wanting to, to help me. We worked out a lot together at Main Event Fitness, which is Lexus Sting's gym in Atlanta. And I was doing good on the indie circuit. I mean, I had built a really good reputation, but, I just never could really find anything that would, Dallas pitched a couple ideas to Eric, but he didn't really bite on anything. And then I just said one day, hey, I'm thinking about adding some martial arts to what I do in the ring. And Paige was like, well, bro, that'd be great if you knew some of that stuff. But I said, well, I do. And he was like, well, I never knew all that. So I kind of caught him up on all that. He said, well, let me tell Eric about that. So then he goes and tells Eric. And then, of course, Eric was really big into all that stuff. So, he scheduled a meeting right after the holidays. And, and I had like a dinner with Eric. He grilled me for, it was about 2 or 3 hours. And then when it was all said and done, he basically said, I guess I made a good enough impression where he said, I want to sign you to a contract, and I want you to disappear from the independent wrestling scene. And I was like, I can do that. so that's kind of how it started.
Yeah. Now, real quick here, Piper Fan McGee here and on the Facebook page, he wants to know if you have any Ernest the Cat Miller stories.
Yeah, you know what? I just saw the cat in Atlanta just recently, and I tell you what's my favorite story. I mean, there's a few that I can't tell, but the one that I always am able to tell, which to me is a really ironic story, is how he and I first met. Eric told me about Ernest, and a lot of people may not know, but the way Ernest really kind of came into the fold was him and Eric knew each other. Ernest was the legitimate 3-time world tournament karate champion and all that. But he was actually, Eric's kids at the time. He had a son and his daughter. Of course, his son ended up getting to wrestling, once he grew up. But they were pretty young then. They were taking, their karate lessons from Ernest. And he said, hey, we've got you, we've got
at this point, Canyon and Brian Clark had already kind of been decided they were going to be a part of the fold. So we were looking for that other guy who could tag team with me. And Eric said, I got this idea of this guy. He's not in the wrestling business, but I think, he's very coachable. I think he might could be, as a fourth guy. And so he told me about Ernest, and I thought, well, okay, well, if the boss is big on him, maybe he's a good bet that we should, at least give the guy a shot. So, this is something that, like I said, for years I wouldn't tell this story. Basically, it was me and Paige, and we go to meet, and Eric says, just meet me at a certain location. I don't remember where. I just knew it was a part of Atlanta that I had never been to, and I'd lived in Atlanta for about 10 years at this point, and longer. And it was a part of Atlanta I'd never been to before and have not ever been to since. But it was a part of Atlanta, and it was kind of like an airplane hangar type building. And Louis, Paige and I ended up meeting Eric and Ernest, but it was in a kind of like a building where, kind of like a big aluminum, like airplane hangar type building. And we all met up beforehand. Well, me and Dallas and Eric did, and I guess Ernest was already inside. But we paid a hefty sum of money to get in at the door, go in, and it was actually basically kind of like a MMA type, underground fight club type thing. And I remember standing there and meeting Ernest, and we ended up kind of talking and kind of getting to know each other, and it was a pretty cool experience. But after a while, Ernest was like, "Hey, look, I'm kind of bored with this. You want to go out of here? Head out of here, maybe go somewhere and he doesn't really drink, so he was just like, hey, you can get a beer somewhere. I'll just, and we'll sit down and just kind of get to know each other a little bit." I was like, yeah, cool. So that's really how we kind of first met, was in kind of like watching an underground fight club type thing.
Well, that's interesting. I wonder if anybody ever came out of there to go on to do any wrestling or MMA.
Not that I know of. I mean, there were some, and like I said, I don't think what we were watching was anything illegal or anything like that. I mean,
right.
But it was, but I remember there were a couple of brothers that were pretty good, and I never really saw anything after that. But I remember thinking, man, these two kids, can maybe go on and do something. But I never really saw it. So as far as I know, no one went on to do anything from there. But who knows? They may have.
Mm-hmm. I want to ask about somebody, because I've tried to get him on the show for a long time, and I don't know if I've actually heard rumor that he passed away, but it was kind of like a underneath guy in WCW was the Gambler, who I always thought was a great gimmick, and I know you'd worked with him. And do you know whatever happened to the Gambler, and what was he like?
You know what? First of all, a great guy.
Mm-hmm.
He and I wrestled on indies together for several years before I did the Glacier thing. Always, just a great pleasure to work with in the ring. I mean, very good technician, good athlete, very solid with everything he did. Just really, knew his craft, and it was always, always knew I could have a good match with him. But the thing I do know is after I had the Glacier run, he was working something like in North Georgia, and I think he's still around. I don't think he passed away, but he actually kind of ended up doing this kind of like dark kind of character, kind of almost like a I don't want to say it's kind of the Crow character, but it's kind of like a dark, almost I don't know, kind of like evil looking kind of character. I worked a couple of shows that he was on, and he seemed to be having fun with that. But that was probably 10 years ago, and I've lost track, after that. So, but nothing but good things to say about the guy. I mean, always just a stand-up guy, and always had great matches with him, and every time I ever saw him wrestling, well, he always had great matches too. Just a real solid Arn Anderson style, performer.
Definitely. Yeah, I always thought he was a really underrated guy, and I like the Gambler gimmick too. But we want to let everybody know, June 27th, you're going to be at the New England Pro Wrestling Fan Fest, and Glacier's a busy man here. He's got some more oysters to eat, but we're going to have him on later on, before the Fan Fest, and we'll talk some more to you. We got a whole bunch of questions from people on Facebook in the chat room, so it'll be good times.
Yeah, I would love to come back on anytime in the next coming weeks, and just want to invite everyone, if you're anywhere near the Providence, Rhode Island area, to the Providence Civic Center. I'm as far as I know, I'm on the super ticket, I believe, for that weekend, and huge honor for me. I'd love to meet any and all wrestling fans that are in the area. Please come out,
support this event. It's a great event, and the people who put this event on, they do it for the fans, and it's just something that it's a way for the wrestling community to give back and really show our appreciation for the fans who've been so dedicated to us for all these years.
Yeah, and the website's NewEnglandFanFest.com. We have a link on the website, and it's really great because any era of a fan you're from, they have people from the 80s, from the 90s, even current guys. So
oh yeah,
it's just it's a huge list of names, and so many people from all different eras, like I said.
Yeah, I'm really, really looking forward to it because it's kind of a reunion of sorts for us too as wrestlers, which is really kind of nice. But yeah, I mean, and like I said too, I mean, I'd certainly be honored and to come on anytime here. The next weeks leading up to the to the actual event. I'd love to come back on and talk shop some more.
Excellent, thanks, man, and enjoy your oysters.
Yes, sir, I will. I'm going to go back in and have a few more right now.
Excellent.
All right, thank you guys.
Thanks, man. Bye.
Uh-huh.
This is Eric Bischoff. Controversy creates cash. You know what else? You're listening to In Your Head